Slavery. We don't use that word very often these days. In fact, many people say it is a thing of the past. They are wrong. In the last century, the world has seen a change in the face of those targeted by slavery.
People are kind of surprised when we talk about slavery because they usually think of it being African slaves brought here to the West, when in fact, slavery needs to be re-abolished. Conservative estimates are 27 to 28 million people are enslaved.
Historically, slaveholders preyed upon those of a different color, race, or religion, and would use any means necessary. But today, there is a much more subtle approach.
We have more people being abused today in the form of slavery, in the form of human trafficking, than we ever have in the history of our world. And just because we think it doesn't exist, just because it's too scary and too harmful and too painful to think about, doesn't mean that it's not real.
Targeting the weak and the gullible, they are looking for those that are easy to enslave and keep enslaved.
It is literally people being stripped of their freedom.
In the country of Thailand, there is no weaker area than the Isan region of the north. Human rights activists estimate that close to 1 million people in Thailand are trapped in the sex slave industry, and an overwhelming percentage of them come from Isan.
We are in the region of Isan, near the city of Korat, and we are visiting the villages where 90% of the girls that end up in brothels and in human trafficking come from this area.
Although Thailand is a nation of great natural resource, in the north only 1/10 of the land is usable for agriculture. Poor villagers face desperation as this small portion of land is both owned and manipulated by the rich. As a result, an overwhelming number of families choose to send their young people to the cities to look for work. But when they arrive, a tragic combination of being unqualified and uneducated, coupled with severe job shortages, means that a large majority end up working as prostitutes in bars or brothels. One of the most common destination cities is the city of Pattaya, the epicenter for trafficking and the sex slave industry in Southeast Asia.
I feel like personally the U.S. has a responsibility to Pattaya, Thailand, because Pattaya as a city is our bastard child as the U.S. Our guys during Vietnam went there. It used to be a sleepy little fishing village, and that's where our guys went for R&R, and it quickly developed into a town all around prostitution. All of Pattaya is for sale. That's what we've seen, and it's really hard for anybody to kind of escape it. Once they're in the city, they're very at risk for being pushed into the sex industry.
Heavily marketed as a tourist destination, Pattaya alone contains close to 800 bars, each with 40 to 60 women working as prostitutes. It is estimated that on one street of Pattaya, as many as 4,000 girls and women are selling their bodies.
I'm from the Isan area. I came to look for a job. It was a very unhappy experience for me, but I kept thinking about my family back home who needed money, my mother and my children, so I kept pushing myself to do it.
So you have children?
Yes, I have 2 kids, a boy and a girl.
And you have a husband?
Yes, but he abandoned me when one of our children got sick and we had no money, so I came to Pattaya to look for work to support my family. I kept thinking I was getting older and wouldn't be able to do this for very much longer, especially with all the younger girls coming into the city. I wanted to get out and find a better job, but there was no one around to help me.
I sit down and I talk to any of these women, any of my friends who are working in the bars of Pattaya, and they don't want to be there. There's not a single little girl who thinks that they want to grow up to be a prostitute one day. That's no little girl's dream.
We would love to take somebody by the hand and drop them off to a shelter and a restoration center for life skill training, for counseling and recovery, and equipping into some other kind of business or work, but there just isn't that available in the city.
Without vocational skills, most people who work in the sex slave industry will remain trapped in it, unable to find better jobs and desperate to make money for their families back home.
Here we are in the bus station of Pattaya. This is where all the girls from the north end up coming. Many of them 14, 16, 17 years old, very young. They come to the station, they catch a cab, they go downtown, and that's where they start working in the bars.
Sadly, many of their parents are not only aware of their involvement in the sex slave industry, but they approve of it. These parents hope for the 1 in a million chance that their daughter will marry a foreigner, find a better life, and send money back home. Most girls may have 1 or 2 customers a night and will only make the equivalent of about $25 US.
In Pattaya specifically, for 300 baht, which is about the equivalent to $10 US dollars, a guy can come and take a girl on a date and do whatever he pleases with her for a couple hours.
I felt really depressed while working in the bars. Life was quite tough, and I felt that I had no hope. It was very bad at the time. I spoke no English, I had no friends, and no money, so I was stuck.
So when you were in the bars, what were you dreaming and wanting to do with the rest of your life?
I wanted to have my own business in Pattaya, so I could support myself. And I thought that if I had my own business, then I could help some of the other women working in the bars, who also felt hopeless.
Hundreds of people, hundreds of young men and women, hundreds of boys and girls would literally come out of the beaches and the bars and the brothels tonight if there was somewhere for them to go.
At Global Breakthrough, we believe that business education and training, leading to economic stability, is a crucial element in the fight to end trafficking and sex slavery. We've developed an effective 2-part approach that targets both the young people coming into the city as well as the need for growth in the local economy. In order to prevent and rescue teens and young adults from entering the sex slave industry, we have worked with partnering organizations to establish a welcome rescue center that serves as a safe haven from the world of trafficking and slavery. By offering English classes, counseling, and a safe environment, we are able to equip and guide these young people into a fulfilling line of work.
I'm working at a hair salon right now. The hair salon where I work is really popular with girls who work in the bars. They love to come for makeup and hair. I feel that I want to teach other girls about hairstyling. I would like to be a teacher.
In the second line of our approach, we are working to help stimulate the local economy through business education training. In November 2010, a team of volunteer businessmen and women traveled to the city of Pattaya to open our first business center, where we provide vocational training, free business seminars, and offer microloan programs.
We are here today launching the first training program for business owners, and this is a full week training session where we go through all components of a business plan, and this is just the beginning of what we're going to do throughout Thailand.
The next step involves opening a second business center in February of 2011, as well as pursuing temporary housing facilities to care for the immediate needs of the young people leaving the bars and brothels.
They need a place to stay right away. They also need a job because the first thing they're thinking when wanting to leave the bars is, what about my family back home? So they need a job right away, and they need skills to get a better job so they don't have to go back to the bars.
We're trying to build a whole network of small businesses that can expand and bring in those that have been rescued out of this situation, who are now trained and equipped and restored to get into the workforce in a whole different career.
Well, how do you feel now that you have your own business compared to when you were working in the bars?
Right now, I'm very happy. This is the good life I have now, and I feel totally different to when I was working in the bars. Totally different.
This testimony that you have just heard and seen is a result of a person that has been rescued from the bars in Pattaya and now has her own business. She's empowered, she has purpose in life, and she's helping others come out of this sex trade.
These are just a few stories from those who have lived and breathed the sorrow of slavery and human trafficking. But behind each face, sitting on a bar stool of Pattaya, lies another story that remains untold. Yet there is hope. Global Breakthrough is committed to saving thousands of lives from the sex slave industry by focusing on prevention and offering a solution. Through our Welcome Rescue Center and Business Center, we are seeing people freed from the trap of prostitution and the cycle of poverty and released into real freedom and a new life. It is critical that we unite as a people of passion to see this ambitious vision realized, giving those enslaved what we all as humans long for: the choice to follow our dreams.